hour, I'll come get you.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Psychic Frank's Mystery School. It's in session. I tape these shows on Fridays, 1 o'clock, the first and the third Friday here on Ninth Street. That's Bayvac's new headquarters, and this is SF Commons. Okay, I'm Psychic Frank. I'm a psychic healer who uses astrology, numerology, the tarot cards, and and I don't have the phones aren't hooked up yet. I hope they're gonna get hooked up. I believe they will get hooked up, but in the meantime, you can't call me, but you could email me. Yeah, psychicfrank11@gmail.com. Perfect. Yes, your name and any kind of question you might want to ask there. I'd ask the tarot cards. I channel them. Okay, well, that's about it. Okay, so the United States of America is first. Oh yeah, we're gonna start off with. I'm open about my life's an open book. You're only as sick as your secrets, and I'm going on 77, and I've been and I it was 82 when I had an amazing spiritual experience. I was close to death. I think I actually might have died. Anyway, I came back. I came back to finish what I came in for, but I came back different. I came back who you see now, a psychic healer. I wasn't this. I wasn't this fellow. Okay, but I did go through a rehab, and I did, work the program for a couple of years, but I'm not a joiner, and cannabis is a real big part of my life. But this guy came to my door. He's one of San Francisco's supervisors, Bal. I don't want to hurt the pronunciation there and insult him. Mahmood, Bala Mahmood, Mahood, and then there's also Raphael Mandelman, Jackie Fielder, and there's a couple of really nice, good supervisors at City Hall. And I said they're all a bunch of alcoholics, all for themselves, part of the London breed cult. Well, these guys aren't. And actually, he buzzed on my buzzer in Hayes Valley, and I was having a bad morning, and I wasn't put together or something, and I didn't even realize who it was. I would have loved for him to come by. Oh God, if I had had him in my apartment, I would have given him the full Psychic Frank session, and who knows, because these guys know about harm reduction. It's cannabis harm reduction. My own. I've given up on our mayor. He showed his true colors when he bonded with Scott Wiener. Our current mayor. I voted for him because he campaigned. His whole thing was, I'm not an insider. I'm not a City Hall insider. No, you're a Sacramento insider. He's so. His wife played bongos at Gavin Newsom's wedding. It's a free country, but at least, don't call yourself, don't be a hypocrite, he did technically say he wasn't a San Francisco City Hall insider. He didn't mention Sacramento, and that makes sense that he would hook up with Wiener. I just, I'm not going to waste any of this hour I have on our mayor. He's hopeless. I just want one question. Why are you choosing to be obtuse? Period. That's it. People, as I said, these people are homeless. They have nothing to protest with. Their bodies. What do you want them to dose themselves with kerosene on City Hall steps like they do in India and set themselves on fire? No, as I said, these people are sick. Many of them are suicidal. Their life has no meaning. Cannabis heals. Cannabis heals. We had the federal building just when 215 passed, we had everybody the doctors, the people who, caregivers, people who gone through horrible, hopeless, quote unquote, diseases who came through the other end with the help of cannabis, and it's just going obtuse. You're just not getting it, you know. So, you're in good health now, but honey, you're gonna get old. You're gonna get old, you know. And oh yeah, I'll share something about myself. I had cataract surgery because I'm going on 77 around 5 years ago, and I went back to that same, not her, the same office, and they're like right there in Union Square, top people. And long story short, they have an X-ray machine now that does the back of your eyeballs, and they found macrodegenerative disease in which there's no cure. You go blind. But in my case, it froze. I believe right around the time I had my spiritual experience in '82. Anyway, and then they looked at my cannabis vape pen and they said, so they were on the phone for an hour on the computer with the specialists on the East Coast of this disease, and they said they couldn't tell me to smoke cannabis, which because it's obvious they know I do. I don't take any drugs, but I'm very honest when So they looked at it, and I always put down. I use cannabis and I use milk thistle. I list all the herbs I take, and then he pointed to my vape pen in my pocket. He said, well, just don't change your lifestyle. Whatever you're doing, keep on doing it, was his exact words. But the message was loud and clear. You quit smoking weed, you're going to a good chance that you'll go blind. So as I said, there's many, many stories. This is just one in the Naked City. Remember that? I still go to these 60s time frames. I guess it was the best for me. It's always the best. I was going to say it was the best. No, now is the best. Okay, so we got that out of the way. I make amends to all the good supervisors in City Hall, especially this guy. Oh, God, I wish he'd, I don't like, I just don't like Gavin Newsom, Newsom's. Actually, a lot of people don't. I listen to Stephanie Miller, and this is one guy, they get on there, I forget his name, but he calls him New Scum, So yeah, I'm just, Gavin. Just because you did the right thing with gay rights, you're gonna think that's gonna rocket you to the presidency of the United States. No, I don't think so. There's too many. OAC. Now, she's the one I would vote for, and I would vote for this guy. I think he would have been a much better mayor than what we got now. So, hey, this is my email address. Get a hold of me, psychicfrank11@gmail.com. I'll come to you because I know you're busy now. I'll have cards will travel. Take my little tarot cards with me. Got my hands with me. I channel energy with them. Never go anywhere without him. I was talking about my parrot the other day to a friend of mine in Paris. No, he lives outside of Paris, he and his husband. And I said, he knows Gabby, my parrot. I said, yeah, she's a handful. Now, she fits snugly in my hand. And, she just loves to get kissed on the crown. Yes, we're in love. And by the way, those fans of Gabby, she's doing well. I just kissed her before I left the apartment. Okay, so that's out of the way now. I made amends to all the good supervisors, and I just want, it'll be a miracle if this mayor does even recognizes harm reduction is part of cannabis's harm reduction, and I hope he just doesn't use it anymore for what's going on. It's like he just doesn't get these people need a spiritual experience. Cannabis can provide that. It's psychedelic, man, and it's minimal harm. Nixon knew that. Well, okay, we're over that. And okay, so the big astrological news is we did the harm reduction. Love expands, hate contracts. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to die. Yeah, so we don't want to be angry now. We didn't have a lobotomy, a frontal lobotomy, but we're definitely use that anger, fuel it. That's what Gandhi did. He said the anger fuels his marches, his resistance, and you got. Your thoughts are like waves. You got to know which ones to ride. Yeah. So we got that out of the way so long about our mayor and and stealing, harm reduction. God, well, that wasn't a knee jerk reaction. My last show, I smothered in that for a couple of days, getting more and more angry. So I had this little format here, this little soapbox. So I decided, yeah, I gotta I gotta rip him to shreds for his own good now. Bertrand Russell said, religions which condemn pleasures of the senses drive men to seek pleasures of power. Ooh. Throughout history, power has been a vice of the aesthetic, one who lives a life of contemplation, aesthetics, and religious self-denial and purposes. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, so what's going on now astrologically? Mars on tomorrow, the 26th on the West Coast, 6:30 p.m. You'll be watching this show at 7:30. What's going on tomorrow night, Saturday the 26th, is a very unusual, the third opposition between Pluto, the planet of death, destruction, and rebirth, and Mars, energizing Mars. Now, the first opposition between Mars and Pluto is actually the higher octave of Mars, just as Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. Venus is a happiness planet. What makes you happy in your chart, that's with Venus. Wherever your Mars is how you express your energy. And right now, Mars is back in Leo, just as a couple of weeks ago, and for the third time in opposition to Pluto. And the oppositions are irreconcilable. Oh, what's that? No reconcilable differences there. There's irreconcilable differences, further apart as you can be. The first one was October, November last year. The second one was the 3rd of January this year. And the third and final opposition of Pluto and Mars is tomorrow at 6:30. Yeah, so use that energy now. It's motivational energy in action. And there's going to be an LA OAC. Cortez, I love that little lady. She's going to be in LA, I think, with Bernie Sanders Saturday night. So tomorrow night, and that's the night of the opposition. And I thought, God, I hope it's nonviolent. But I think, did they have an astrologer? Did they mention astrologer? Mentioned? I'm like, hey, OAC, that's that you want to do it. Yeah, 3 hits from Mars now through April. We won't be done with this important Mars cycle until early part of May, while Mars is still in Leo for November and. So think back to November, December. See, and then another big astrological thing that's very, very rare. And if you're really into astrology, you might want to watch Pam Gregory, Christopher Newstrom or something. I like him. And what's going on is, here it is. Okay, Neptune's in Aries. That hasn't happened since April 13th, 1861. The Civil War started April 13th, 1861. 12th, the 12th of, that's when the Civil War started, April 12th, 1861. And the next day, April 13th, 1861, Neptune entered Aries. And now Neptune's in Aries again. And in a couple of, I wrote it down, in a couple of weeks, a couple of months actually, here, March, April, so Mars is Saturn. Saturn's going to leave Pisces and go into Aries at the end of May 26th there. So then we're going to have this Saturn Neptune conjunction. And Pam Gregory said something very interesting. This is an extremely rare configuration. it's zero Aries. The potential is pure potential, and this is a very rare. And she's like, with Pluto, she went because that's like transit of Pluto, the planet of death, destruction, rebirth. That's in Aquarius now. Goes into every 565, 70 years. It's got a really long, so she went back to every time Pluto was in Aquarius, and it's always the Russian Revolution, the American Revolution. It's always something going, revolutions, yeah, and people, and so that's what's going on. Okay, so a sextile between Saturn and Neptune uh, on one side, and on the other side to Pluto, and on the other side Uranus. So there's contract renegotiation periods. And then she said, okay, and then what's going to happen now in a couple of months, they're both going to go back into Pisces, 29 Pisces, and then come January and February of 2026, around the end of February 2026, Neptune in January will enter, and it moves very slow. And then by February of 2026, Saturn will be in Aries conjuncting. It'll be an exact conjunction of 0 degrees Aries. And Pam Gregory, who is a very respected astrologer, she went back thousands and thousands of years and couldn't find when that happened last. And when the computer age, she knows she's very thorough. So this is a extremely rare configuration. You've had to look thousands of years, as I said. Rarity gives potency. Rarity gives potency. So Saturn is the structure of our life. Neptune's your spirituality. In Aries, it's a breakthrough religion. It's realizing heaven's a threat, heaven's a bribe, hell's a threat. We're all, we're all our own. We're all our own God. Earth is not a really, and with Uranus going into Gemini, all you Geminis, get ready to get liberated for a good decade or so when Uranus enters Gemini this year. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, Taurus can finally, this is the last stretch of Uranus, and it's in the late 20s, all you Taurus people now. You either, by now you're all used to sudden changes. You want to make God laugh, tell her your plans. I was doing my dishes the other day, and when I'm stuck cleaning the bird or doing something, my mind, and I was thinking about, wow, all the assumptions that have been shattered while Mars was in Cancer. Especially, I had a very colorful early background, like a lot, a lot of people, especially, people who make it out of it, become very, spiritual, different. Just they stick out, and like to sum it up, if you have life with an active alcoholic, who's violent, who's very violent, and you're in your teens, and you had allies like grandparents who live just the next town over, and you're like 5 minutes from the railroad tracks. So if I was coming home from school and I was like a block away from where I lived, I'd smell it in the air, and I'd say, oh, it's Friday night, Charlie's going to be on a drunk. So I'd get on the train and I'd go to Oyster Bay, and my grandfather, of course, would be grateful to have me there. And I actually had a guest room there and that I didn't put it together that, that a lot of psychics, that's not unusual, a lot of psychics build their psychic ability, and you sort of assume everybody's developed that sense. And it was a rude awakening. Like the other day, I got slapped in the face with another rude awakening, and I said, yeah, this is the last little bit of that Uranus and Taurus now, shattering these rude, and that's what's happening collectively too, not only personally, but collectively. A lot of these assumptions, when we assume, we make an ass out of you and me, so Yeah, so Saturn will be in Aries until April of 2028, but Neptune until 2039. So whichever's going to start, and you could count on it. And next year for the United States of America will be a three personal year. And that's the year where we're going to see the sprouts come up of the seeds we planted 2 years ago. For the United States of America, and we're just into this 11th year, it's a year full of revelations. And actually, where's America's chart? I have it somewhere right around here. Here it is. Okay, here's the chart for the United States of America. And so all this Aries energy now is happening in, our fourth house. Yeah. 0 degrees Aries, 1 degree 30, 1 degree 3 minute, 03, 1. Yeah, so Neptune today is I didn't write it down. I skipped it. I wrote it down, but then something must have happened. I went Saturn, and then Neptune went for a walk. Uh, okay, but yeah, but Neptune's probably in our fourth house, and Saturn's like getting ready to go into our fourth house and leaving Pisces. Pisces is an intercepted constellation, by the way, but all the energy with Aquarius now is in our money house. We've had our Pluto return in the money house, and now it's we're not going to see the results of this until next year, but it's, as I said, just around the spring when we have that final exact conjunction with Saturn and higher consciousness Neptune. Now the shadow of Neptune is the Neptunian fog gets burned away, and we start realizing Saturn. It's like we've got resources, human beings, natural born resources who are equipped to do healings, born to heal, people with psychic abilities. I went to the mystery school with a really interesting woman. I can't remember her name, but she worked on Bryan Street in the parole office there. That was her day job, and then we had a prayer circle, and she would show up for that, and she'd yeah. I got some mind blowing sessions from these people. There's so many that would come out of the woodwork, alternative healings. I, yeah, the Reiki people, but what I'm doing, what comes out of me is not Reiki. It's not Reiki. As a matter of fact, I got interested, when I was putting it all together, like what's going on with me, and the Reiki people, were agreed that they, had the gift, and then they said, well, why don't you go on these tour, like they had 3 or 4 people, because I guess not a lot of guys do this, mostly women are into it, and go to Japantown with these women, and there's a couple of guys there too, and give free samples to, that's how you met us, and I said, oh sure. And so I was there with these, most of them were white women, a few Asians, and there were a few of us too. And I had my hands like 6 inches above this woman's crown, and I was tuning into her energy, and all of a sudden she started screaming, "He's burning me! He's burning me!" And I put my hands away, and I broke the circuits. I said, and there was no burn on her head. The instructors came over, and Louise Hay says something about burning. If you're feeling the worst burning sensation, that's hard, this intense burning, means you're dealing with jealousy. And I guess she was jealous that I had this gift or something. Well, anyway, long story short, I had nobody's. People feel the heat when I do that, but that was a once in a lifetime, hopefully, experience then. But the Reiki people made it clear that they didn't understand what I was doing, and they respected it, but they didn't want anything to do with me. So that's why when I say what I'm doing isn't Reiki, I'm not just saying, I'm very, I said to people a lot of times, go find a good Reiki healer, because I get calls from all over the place. Yeah, worry is praying for something you don't want. And Earth is not a platform for human life. It is a living being. We are not on it, but part of it. Its health is our health. Yeah, this administration is really well. You know, I got some insight the other day from my guide, and he was telling me, yeah, Donald Trump's first presidency, he was casing the joint. He had 4 years to case the joint, and now he's back to pull the job. You know, that's I watch a lot of detective movies from the 40s, 30s, 40s, 20. No, there's no 20s. Silent films, 20, 30s. I love those movies. And I've been on YouTube watching a lot of left political shows, and I've been using the term, what I got in my Tibetan teachings from the lamas. If you're not mindful, then you're a heartless zombie, a walking corpse. And I said that about this regime that's in the White House now, a bunch of heartless zombies, a walking corpse. It's a cult of heartless zombies, walking corpses. And then I'm noticing on my computer all these, and I watch a lot of YouTube movies. Current movies are way too violent for me, so I watch the 30s and 40s movies, looking for my father, because I was giving up for adoption then. I don't know why. I just love those movies. The shadows, black and white. Just every set's a masterpiece. So yeah, and all of a sudden I notice I'm getting all these zombie movies from the 30s and 40s. I didn't realize that there was that many zombies movies. And I go, why are they giving, why? And I go, well, it's those, what do they call them, algorithms or something. They pick your brain through what you like, and then they send you more of it. And they said, oh, this guy's into zombies. He liked these zombie movies. It's, I don't know, get a life. Get a life. Get out of mind, man. Get out of mind. Yeah. So Donald Trump's first presidency was to case the joint, and now he's ready to pull the job, man. He's pulling the job. Yeah. I was hoping that maybe this Saturday night, tomorrow night, with the final opposition of Mars to Pluto, hopefully in LA maybe something nonviolent will go down. But the long story is, until next year, you can't push that river. See, Saturn's called timer. You can't say, oh, Saturn, I'll give you this. You can't beg up Saturn, nothing. It's called till you're 29, you have your first Saturn return. And then you have and it rolls the bones, the structure. It's fate, and then I think it has a lot to do with burning off some karma. And then after you're 29, you have your first Saturn return. Then all of a sudden, the frustrations go away and doors appear where there were no doors. I've been doing this for close to 40 years, 40 something years. And a lot of I've never had women get their first Saturn return practically on the date. They're so sensitive, and men, 33. I was 33 when I had I was 29 when I had my second Saturn return, but I didn't really get it until I was 33 and I had that out of body experience and came back to me, my true self. And and then when you're 59 and your second Saturn return is happening, this is when your mind, your hobbies, things you were interested in that you never dreamed you can make money out of it, but you do it. It happens. Fate steps in, and whether it's painting, sculpting, astrology classes, tarot cards, work, it's just something you always were interested. Cooking, baking, could go on forever. Oh yeah, Christopher Randstrom, I like him. Saturn's warring is, and so is Pam Gregory's. It's go from the heart out, the inside out. None all about externals ruling your life. All these material people with material Joneses. You got a Jones for this. The Joneses, got to keep up with the Joneses. You know, as I said, I'm not going to, well, I said I'm not going to mention the mayor anymore, but, you know, there's a lot of people living in a bubble. They don't understand, for many, many, many people, uh, there's a lot of month at the end of the money, and before we had that 2 little years there between when 215 passed, and then London Breed, you know, had it her way or the highway. There's that first vowel O, and she's got two in that name, London. So anybody with the first vowel O has got a very strong will, and Scott Wiener, you know, there you go. And then, as I said, I voted for you, Mayor Laurie, because when you said arts and creativity, I was like, wow, yeah, this guy's gonna. I just wanted. I would have voted for Charlie Manson if he was still alive and running for. You know, that's how bad I wanted to get rid of London Breed. But you know, we're stuck with you now for 4 years, and you know, and there's all this shady stuff in your past with the FBI and real estate deals. You know, it's like you're not as squeaky clean and this innocent little choir boy you come out to be, man. You got a shadow. You know, you know. Eventually, people are going to see that it's the same shit, different day. When 4 years go by, and hopefully, you know what you're doing. I don't approve of. Because I know the answer is you're just dealing with the effects, which are important. I'm not trivializing that, but you're just I think you're picking up a lot of traces from Scott Wiener. You know why? You know, people that laugh at the wrong things. Worry don't if your daughter's dating a guy he's laughing, or vice versa, your son's dating a girl and she's laughing at the wrong things, break that up for them. You know, to stay away from people that laugh at the wrong things. You know, personally, you know, as I said, that alcoholic stepfather of mine, you know, he would laugh at the wrong things all the time. And as I said, John McCain bomb Iran, and he thought that was the funniest thing. Now, you know, yeah, if you have to, life or death, the country depends on it. If you have to die, you have to kill. You should be remorseful of that. You shouldn't have parades down the street, which we're going to have June 14th. If nothing comes down tomorrow night with the Mars Pluto opposition, definitely in June. Because what's going to happen now, Jupiter's going to go into Gemini, and Donald Trump's a Gemini, and Jupiter gives you more whatever you focused on. It's like welcome to the Karma Cafe. There are no menus. You get what you deserve. Oh, I believe, yeah, there's justice happening. It's going to happen there. Oh yeah, Goethe said there are situations in which hope and fear run together, in which they mutually destroy one another and lose themselves in dull indifference. This is no time to be blasé. You know, you're deep as a chasm with no enthusiasm. You're blasé. No, we don't need to be blasé now. We need to really get out there. You know, and thank God we live in San Francisco where, you know, we can make ourselves in the street now. Aries represents warrior, assertive energy. It's powerful, it's decisive. There's a lot of leadership. Yeah, a lot of desire to take action, self-sufficiency, holding oneself accountable. We got to take responsibility for where we are now. As I said, what we need, like I say, the Earth isn't dying; we're killing it, and the Earth is where change, as I said. To change, you have to make effort. This place, planet Earth, is where you do it. You know, there's no Brooks. There's no. I was talking about a memory I had. One of my brief memories of visiting a cousin in upstate New York. She got married and moved to this place outside a reform school. I remember it. Oh my God. Anyway, I was young then, and we went out for, she said, where are we going? And she said, oh, we're going to pick lunch. We're going to get watercress out of the stream. And sure enough, there was a brook in her backyard. And we just picked a basket of watercress. And I love watercress sandwiches. Now that I'm a vegan, oh my God. I think it's like British teas, you know, watercress sandwiches. But they're really, I remember when I was living with the asthmatic heiress, one of her boyfriends was in the kitchen waiting for her to come down and make her grand entrance for a date. And I was making a sandwich, putting together a sandwich. and and I put the watercress and the tomato and the lettuce and or whatever I did. Then this guy said, "You forgot the meat, Frank." I said, the watercress, and he just couldn't get that. He couldn't. I thought I forgot something. Okay, so getting back to how we use Neptune is higher consciousness now. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about, we still have a lot of time. We're going to do lucid dreaming now. Lucid dreaming is like not just watching a movie. And I have Antenna TV, and I flip through a lot. And one of the Arquette girls, she's an actress family there, and it's a movie called Medium. And she and her husband, she's involved with the police department, and they see these. She gets dreams in the middle of the night of these horrible, horrible murders, and then she works with the police to get them solved and everything. And I never saw one show until the other day when my guides told me, you got to start teaching people with Neptune and Aries now. Aries is the head, start really using their heads with, this amazing school of the night, multi-dimensional, and why people just go to sleep at night with all their troubles and wake up thinking of the first thought in their mind when they wake up is, oh man, I didn't die in my sleep. Or if God was merciful, he would, we wouldn't believe the people's visions of this life are like not what it should be, in my opinion. And so what you want to do, you want to hopefully go to bed with your shoes and socks on. You get undressed and you go into bed, put in your jammies or whatever, and then do that with your troubles, my worries. Oh, I got my money in Earth School today. I laughed, I cried. Oh, thank God it's over. I release all these experiences, and then, as I said, there's always people who need healings, and I realize no human being could be. I give it over to the healers, the Blessed Mother, and the angels. I'm a spiritualist. I deal with all religions. And then and then you go into the school of the night. Surround yourself with the love and light, the Christo ray. I call it the Christ ray. I protect myself from everything. I wear my beads, yeah, and. I don't really. I just. It's a routine, a habit, and then like the other day, I had a lucid dream. I was. I all of a sudden I don't know what I was doing, and then I saw this. It wasn't a bunny or maybe a groundhog. It was and it was a light tan, furry little thing with the most, cute little face, and it was going down this hole, and it was like, wow, So I dropped what I was doing, and I ran over there and I grabbed it, and then it started sucking me into it, and I was, wow, this is a powerful little black hole there, whatever it was, and I finally pulled it out. And I was huffing and puffing when I woke up. It was that lucid, and then it jumped off my chest and it scampered away, and I was like, wow. And then, sure enough, the next day, all these things started falling into place. I think a lot of times this is how it works. And then another thing about lucid dreaming is after I came back from 1982 and I left my body and I came out of rehab and everything, I thought I was a walk-in. I thought, Ruth Montgomery talked about people who have this agreement with extraterrestrials. They don't want to be here, and their souls check out, and they walk in. They say, Anwar Sadat was one. People who changed so dramatically that, and at first psychic reading I got, I asked the woman, am I a walk-in? And she laughed and she said, no, nobody walked out. So as I said, this person, though I am now, all of a sudden, I went back to being a vegetarian. It took decades to be a vegan. It's a gradual process. I just wanted to throw that in to those of you who are upset with yourselves because you're a vegetarian, but yet you can't really make that cheese. The cheese, man, that's it. It's rough. But there's all these vegan cheese now. Yes, they're expensive. The best ones are from Japan. Okay, so What it is I immediately all my life, I started gravitating to Tibetan Buddhism. After a couple of years in the program, I realized I'm over this, and then I started realizing Tibetan Buddhists, and they had an ashram. They the Victorian huge, the building's still there on Fillmore and Oak Street. It's a huge, big Victorian. The Tibetan monks moved in there, and I took classes there. And then they let me use their gift room, the gift shop, to do healings 3 or 4 days a week. And the monks would sit with me, and I would do healings on them. And I learned a lot from the lectures I went there, because they're very into utilizing the dream state. So, as I said, so then all of us, and as there's just like one lecture I went to about in India, there was this very enlightened being, and this guy, I think it's this guy, uh, Lama Soro Das, yeah. And to get an audience with him, you have to wait for years. And he finally got an audience with this guy, or maybe it was somebody else. But anyway, it got through to me when I was reading all this stuff way back then. And he said, and it was a beautiful marble like gazebo, and it was a beautiful warm breeze in this Indian, I guess, wonderful place in India. And there are gorgeous places in India. Friends of mine have told me about that. It's not all like, swimming in the Ganges with people screaming for money. Um, there are these paradises. Anyway, uh, he was in a really deep conversation with this guru, and then all of a sudden he stopped because a beetle was crossing, and he picked it up with a piece of paper and moved it over to the garden. And that got to me, and ever since then, I realized, yeah, all living things. Yeah, Einstein said if he came back, he'd want to be born as a Jain. You can't be a Jain. You got to be born a Jain. But they don't kill anything. They walk around with a mask all the time so they don't breathe in gnats. And and uh, and whenever I'm like doing anything in my apartment, and even before when I lived with the asthmatic Aris, and even before that, ever since '82, when I came back, and I see like a horse flyer on the screen, somehow it got in, or I'm walking up the stairs where I live in the building where I live, and there'll be a fly in the building and it's trying to get out. I have this whole routine where I go into my apartment, I have this green little plastic cup and a postcard, and I run down. You got to be very careful you don't hurt it, and I put the cup over the fly, and then I go down with that, make sure he doesn't get his little feet hurt. And then I bring it over to the door, open it up, and take it out to the back steps, and then phew, it flies out. And I can almost hear it say, "Thank you, man, thank you." And after decades of doing that, you build your sensitivity. I don't kill spiders. I have a few daddy long legs in my apartment. They're very auspicious. I think they eat a couple of the moths. Yeah, yesterday this little tiny moth was flying around, and I put my hand up like this, and it lighted right in the palm of my hand, and I said, "Oh, come on, I have things to do," and I blew it away. Salvatore Dali said he liked New York City in the summer when there were a lot of butterflies around, and perhaps one of them could light on his mustache. He would put a lot of wax on his mustache, and because, but as I said, the other day I was in the kitchen doing something, and this one was right in my face, and it was flapping its wings a mile a minute, and then I said, "Come on, you got," and it went right in my mouth. I went like that, and he went out. But I don't have a lot of moths. They're just a couple. But as I said, moths have very short lives, but yet they do everything they came in to do. I hope to be here. I realize Neptune's going to be in my 12th house until 2046. I was born in 48, so I'm going to be 98 by the time Neptune's on my rising sign. Oh, I'm going to be here. I'm quite confident of that. Okay, so yeah, retrograde. Kathy Rose is another great astrologer. Oh yeah, I wrote, "Friends are a gift you give yourself. The world's just friends we haven't met yet." Um, self-sufficiency is all about Aries. You're going to find a lot of like the Great Panthers coming back. They won't call themselves the Great Panthers. I think a lot of these assumptions that are we're going to get hip to. Somebody's got to blow the whistle on NASA. Come on, cheap thrills, and now it's like a roller coaster for the idle, the morbidly rich. Oh, excuse me. I have this little table I'm going to do the tarot cards on. I was lucky. The Bayback crew here, SF Carmen's crew, they're amazing. Something just happened. I just. I just screwed it up. Oh. I screwed it up. I went to turn the table and I moved something. I don't think I screwed it up, but you see,
Yeah.
I went to get this like so the wrist here. And
It's okay. Things like that, they happen.
okay.
Yeah. So you want to make sure these stay here.
Oh yeah, we're still going.
We're still going.
Good.
You want to keep going?
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. And I'll let you know what I'm doing. Yeah, this is plenty good. Okay. Expect the unexpected, huh? Okay, let's see. Okay, so as I said, with look for where Aries, 0 Aries, and as I said, wrap your mind around the conjunction that is very thousands. You have to go back thousands and thousands of years. There's the last time this happened, as I said. So I'm really psyched about this, and especially because it's positioned where it's to my natal. So the next couple of years are going to be amazing for me. Okay, what do my friends on TV land need to see? Surround myself with the light and love of the Holy Spirit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All kids children go to heaven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 6. So, getting back to, lucid dreaming, like Kundalini too, I looked up on the computer about Kundalini, very little information about that. And then there's this book out of the library I found very helpful, and I looked that up, and of course the guy's no longer alive, and his devotees were really uptight that a Westerner could talk about like I should be, and I mentioned Sri Aurobindo was obviously a saint to these Indians. And it's like they believe that only people like Sri Aurobindo are allowed to talk about the Kundalini. And I was really offended with that. But now, as I said, Pat Gregory's talking about the third eye and the Kundalini. A lot of astrologers are. Yeah, it's time now to start. Don't be afraid of you. The human body is a superhuman. Go for a superhuman experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay, so what we have in the center of everything for y'all is the end of bearable burdens comes next year. They're telling me that 2026 is a one universal year, and for the United States of America, it's going to be a 3-year, personal 3-year. We get a chance to finally smell the roses around July of next year. Something really big is going to happen. I mean, good. When I say it's good or bad, it's all good. But as I said, it's going to be democracy. It's not over till it's over. And So as I said, hang on tight now. Be grounded. The infinite ground of being is always there for us. The infinite ground of beings. The throat chakra rules all the chakras. When you say, like I say, when people on TV with these pharmaceutical ads, I have schizophrenia. They want you to own it. The other day, I'll make this short. I was walking across Van Ness Avenue, and there was this young lady, only in her 30s, I guess, and she was and then I walked and noticed her and smiled, and then 2 blocks later, she was right there with me, and I turned to her at the red light, and I said, are you a New Yorker? Nobody could keep up with me. You're a fast walker. And then we joked for a second. She had a nice sense of humor. And then I mentioned something about you. You'd like my TV show. And I mentioned Psychic Frank's Mystery School, my YouTube channel. And then she came right out with, I'm dying. I have cervical cancer. And I went, wow, it just hit me with a 2x4. And then we walked for a few minutes, and then I had a turn, and she was going straight, and I said, well, don't own it, okay? From now on, don't own it. And she snapped at me, and she said, what do you mean? I'm not owning it. I said, well, you just said to me, I have, and she got it. This little like eureka moment, I could see the light bulb on her head. Okay, so what's surrounding us now is make friends with your mind now. It's like a whole new paradigm of thought. Yeah, this is now no more being hoodwinked now. All these thoughts, these negative illusions that have authority over us now. I like what this woman says here about the Six of Swords. I'm always struggling for words. You have solved problems with your sharp intellect in the past, and you will again. Remind yourself of your previous mental victories. Take pride, revel in them. Think back of all the dark nights of the soul we've been through. When you're going through a dark night of the soul, you're going through it to learn something. I don't believe there's a God saying, I just love when they're, squirming in pain. No, as I said, you watch Stephen Miller and this new this regime that's in power now. They actually laugh at sad. They think it's a joke. They laugh at the wrong things, man. That's scary. And but it's just what we need. Nothing goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. Yeah, we're growing up now. This is what we needed to become adults of God. Yes, we're children of God, but we're not suffering from arrested development. Although sometimes the heart's got to break all the time. The heart's got to break a few times before it opens. It's all about get to your heart. That's our way out for the United States of America. It's our North Node, and that's where all this Aquarius is opposition to Leo, and it's all about living life to the nines now. Okay, we could still shift the power, and everybody could live like millionaires. Except I'm not the middle class. I've said this before, was never doing better. It was doing scary good during the Reagan, and then they got Reagan in there. They said, it was getting almost to 70s, or late 60s, early 70s. I'm talking percentages here. And they said, no, we got to get Ronald Reagan in. And of course, GIs loved him. They believed he was this, actually, and they were conned. So Donald Trump's a long line of cons. It started with Nixon. Nixon was pardoned for Watergate. He didn't even get no charges for telling the National Guard to open fire on the students at Kent State. 4 dead in Ohio. Yeah, I lived. I was in New York when that happened. But Donald Trump said the other day about the protesters in colleges, shoot them in the legs. What's up with that, man? What's up with that? Okay, yes. Here's what the future is now, hell. But this is a scary card. Everybody gasps with pain when they see that. So what we got here is, it's the 15th card, the devil card. The devil teaches us to find where we are limiting ourselves and to break free. Our greatest barriers often come from within. Fear, shame, and regret all seep into our beliefs about ourselves and our abilities to keep us from reaching our full potential. We can choose to live under the weight of self-suppression, or we can wrest control from the devils of our own making and take our power back. Helplessness can be seductive. It absolves us of responsibility and allows us to blame others for our difficulties. The devil alerts us to areas we have power over that which we are not exercising. This does not mean that our lives are free from actual limits or even oppression. It means that we do everything we can to live life to the fullest in spite of them. We go to rallies. The devil hates it when we laugh in the devil's face. They can't stand it. Expect the unexpected. We're trained. Everything's got to be choreographed to the. No, let the universe give the universe a lot of elbow room to. There's a fish of abundance in this cup of love. Life is full of unexpected surprises, but you have to make friends with your mind. Your mind's going to be with you eternally. It's been with you. Let your mind's the caboose. Your heart and your gut will tell you what to do. The mind later on will say, yeah, aren't you glad I thought of that? It's like training mind. Train your mind. Yeah, here's what we're marrying you now. Use the 4 elements. Coming next month, next wishful thinking. There's going to be a whole new spirituality now. You don't appreciate. You don't bless your water until the wells run dry. This new administration now, the regime that's in power now, what they're doing to the environment is, Mother Earth, forgive us. We know not what we're doing. We're just totally ripping you to shreds now. Wildlife, endangered species now, off the endangered species research. Mayor Laurie, we can be a pioneer in alternative healing substances now. But of course, the farmer, yes, money, you need money now. But if you allow even a last little, just bring back the meeting. If you're the mayor of the city, you could say, you know what, I want those people back, the doctors, and just recreate what went on right after 215 passed, 2 years after 215 passed, where London Breed threw the cannabis community under the bus after we passed it. We got out there in all kinds of nasty weather to get 215 passed, only to be now on the outside looking in, pay to play and all that. Okay, thank you, London Breed. I was so happy to get her out of there, and now I realize, well, this is, out of the fire. Oh boy, this is what's going on now. This is the Tower card, surrounded by the Hermit. Get in touch with your own individual guide. Doesn't have to have a name. Remember, you lucky. Ask your parents if you had an imaginary friend. Talk to your friend. Talk to your parents about your early childhood. The first 3 years of a child's life, you're telling the entire world, this is what I'm going to do when I'm an adult. Okay, this is a good card to meditate on for good health. It's the Sun card. And I like what this guy says here about, I've been quoting from this book in case you just tuned in. Melinda Home. It's a wonderful book on the tarot. And here's a major arcana. See, there's only 22 major arcanas. It's timely when those cards appear. So here we have 10, 15, 16. 16. I was conceived 16 days after Gandhi was assassinated. The Tower teaches us to break down long-standing beliefs that have solidified into false truths. The image of the Tower, tall and looming, impenetrable, represents ideas and rules we believe and standards and unchangeable. When you shrug, sigh, and say, that's just how it is, you've come up against the Tower. When the Tower card visits, it's time to tear it down. If you won't let us come to the table, we're going to tear the legs off of the table. They said that in Selma. These teenage black boys said that in Selma. And now, in current day San Francisco, this is their idea of throwing the legs. They're going to die anyway. Let's die in public now, right in front of City Hall. So this is all they have left. They have nothing left. Thank you, people who made the homeless possible. I'm talking Gavin Newsom. When I said London Breed, every time we went to City Hall for the, to be heard. As soon as our group came up for, you have the number, and then you listen to all these other cases that want to be heard about real estate and this and that, and they would turn around and walk out. Ed Lee did it, Gavin Newsom did it. Gavin never even stood up there. Oh, he had bigger fish to fry. I guess if you put faces on the rules you're making, it takes the fun out of it. If these guys would just listen to them, well, now they're divide and conquer one. It's all for one now. Yeah, the Tower is not an ideal card for, the Tower is disruptive. It does not care what is on your calendar. It does not care what your obligations are. Make contingency plans. Get everything. Well, in a nutshell, question everything. Question authority, especially, and be your own authority. Be your own authority. That's what Aries is all about. When hell freezes over, I'll skate. Don't dance around wounds. Come down here and get your own show. You don't like the news? Come in and make news of your own. Non-violent news. Non-violent news. I'm gonna pick 6 cards for you all, because I got another minute now, and I got this little music stand. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is how we're feeling about it. Yeah, hopefully you got this young little kid and you woke up again. They said, be like a kid, takes play seriously. If you're not having fun, why are you doing it? Life's too short not to have fun. Yeah, we're once again, respect the 4 elements, respect all life. Make a universe love symbolic gestures. Throw away your fly swatters and swear from now on you will never kill another fly. Start small. I know I live in an apartment building, and when it rains, ants come in. We have no roaches or anything like that, but we do have ants coming in, and I do have a thing of raid, I swear, because you gotta. I live in an apartment, you can't have ants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We gotta start saying no. Start saying no. This is what this card means. It means take down the mind defenses and say, you know what, this is unacceptable now, what's going on. This has been going on. They've been the investigations on the harmlessness of cannabis and the miracles it can perform are documented. And none of these cats at City Hall or maybe they're so humble they're keeping it a secret, have any kind of medical backgrounds. And they're too arrogant to even, I think the reason they wouldn't listen to us, because they don't want to put faces on the draconian, is that the word? Because once again, why, Mayor Lori, are you choosing to be obtuse? I think Scott Wiener is just plain sick. I've seen him laugh at the wrong things. And, okay, we're done here. I'm here now on Fridays, 1 o'clock, the first and the third Friday. SF Commons now has a new page where you can go to 7:30 Saturday night, 6:30, and watch me morning, noon, and night, channel 29, 6:30 Saturday night. Everybody, I do love you. Here's a big hug for you. And namaste. Namaste. It's all over. It's all over now, baby blue. Okay. I'm not going to touch this because I don't want it to be messed up, and there's a chance I might do that. So as I leave Clay, the wonderful one of the guys that works here, makes this all possible. Yeah, let's get, I know the city's in big trouble because London Breeze, spent money like a drunken sailor on everything but the right thing to do. But don't let us suffer for it. Let's get the phones turned on here. Okay? Thank you. Okay, we're done. Namaste. Namaste. Bye. let me see if I could do this.